Hello and welcome, it's Chris from Christopher Holt Training and welcome to this week's tutorial where we're going to be talking about 5 things to consider when exercising with spondylolythesis. They're very simple and common sense things, but they are essential that a lot of people don't necessarily bring into a gym setting or a formal exercise setting. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into that, just a quick bit of business.
Before we get started, I just wanted to mention my social media, which you'll see in the top right of the screen. You can go to Twitter at Christopher Holt, Facebook Christopher Holt Training, Instagram Christopher Holt, and YouTube Christopher Holt. So please do come along to any of those, like, follow and subscribe. It'd be great to have you on board. Also, please do comment below anything that you might have learned, found interesting, or even if you have a question about any of the information that I've shared in the tutorial. Alternatively, if you look to the bottom of the screen, you'll see a URL, which is also in the description, to my How to Overcome Lower Back Pain ebook. In it, you'll learn about different causes of low back pain which could help you understand what's happening with yours. You'll learn about the problem with exercise, so the wrong exercises that you could be doing and how it can hinder overcoming your low back pain. You'll learn about the solution, so a 6-part rehab process that I use with stretches to start doing, common stretches to avoid like stretching the hamstrings and the lower back, exercises to start doing and ones to avoid, plus how to put it all together into a workout and other everyday tips and techniques. So it's more than just an ebook, it's a working manual that gives you the knowledge to not only start overcoming lower back pain, but also gives you the skills to do it as well. So please do click the link below and find out more about the ebook, and if you choose to purchase, you won't be disappointed. Many thanks for listening, and back to the tutorial.
Number 1 is stabilizing the spine. So we want to be choosing exercises that are able to hold the spine in position and more specifically the vertebrae that has moved. So we don't want to be doing jolting movements, we want to be able to hold them in position. So it's selecting exercises that allow that to happen. So what we're looking for are static isometric exercises that are able to co-contract the muscles of the abdominal wall, so the obliques, the obliques at the side and the abdominals at the front. You've also got latissimus dorsi and you've got the glutes as well. So it's about engaging all of those and then holding tight to help stabilize and hold the spine in position. Number 2 is brace and create stiffness. And what we want those exercises to do that I talked about previously is the isometric holding exercises. We want to be using the bracing mechanism, so pulling in your abdominals tight, pushing down your shoulders to create the latissimus dorsi stiffness, and engaging the glute muscles to stiffen and create that bracing effect all the way around the torso. So we're basically bringing points 1 and point 2 together. A lot of these will do that, but what we're looking for it to do is we're looking to use that in a formal exercise setting so that when we go out into everyday life, we are then, as we are moving around, we are then able to create that stiffness using that bracing mechanism, so we're able to hold the spine and stiffen it and stabilize it into position. Number 3 is avoiding explosive exercises. So things like jumping and bounding. So it might be squat jumps, it could be lunge jumps, it could be like a clean and jerk type of movement, depending on your skill level within the gym. So anything that's sort of high intensity or explosive are the types of things that you really want to be avoiding for no other reason than they're high risk. Because if you aren't stiffening and bracing as you're moving, and if it's a very quick movement, it's a lot harder to do. Even more skilled athletes or people can find it hard to stiffen whilst they're moving quickly. So things like the clean and jerk, as I've mentioned, squat jumps, lunge jumps, most things that you'll find in sort of a high intensity class, they're the types of things you want to be avoiding. Simply because it's just high risk. You can do them if you have the aptitude and the skill level to be able to stiffen throughout all of those exercises. Number 4 is one that I've mentioned before, is isometric exercises. Now, isometric exercises are things like the plank, the side plank, the shoulder bridge. You could also include bird dog in there when you're on all fours, extending the opposite arm and leg, because the torso wants to remain in that neutral posture through the spine. So you want to be able to maintain the 3 natural curves of the spine. The reason for that, it's the position where most or least stress is put on the spine. So it's spread over all the different tissues, the vertebrae, the discs, the ligaments, the tendons, the muscles. So it's just spread all around the torso, rather than if you're loose, then it can start to put more stress on the spine itself. So main thing we want to be focusing on when we're selecting exercises is avoiding the explosive exercises, as I mentioned, but also using more isometric holding exercises, because they're a lot lower risk. They create that stiffness that you want, and they're able to protect the spine whilst giving you the core strength and stability that you need as well. And number 5 is stiffen and move. So I've talked about it already sort of throughout these, but now I'm just going to bring it together in one point. So what we do is we use the isometric exercises to stiffen the torso, which creates the spine stability. Now, as I mentioned in point number 3, everyday life we aren't static in everyday life, we are moving. But what we've got to be conscious of is to stiffen, brace, stabilize the spine first, and then move. So it might be just as simple as stiffen, brace, stabilize the spine, and then stand up out of a seat. Or it could be lifting shopping bags off the floor. So you would stiffen, create that stiffness through the torso, protect the spine, and then lift the shopping bags. Whatever it might be. These are things that a lot of people take for granted, and I work with people on a regular basis. Again, as I mentioned at the start, it's very common sense, but people just don't think about it. They pick bags up, they just literally bend down, pick them up, but they don't realise the damage they could potentially be doing to themselves. So what we've got to focus on is take that little bit of time, be conscious of stiffening the torso, making sure you've got a braced abdominal wall, latissimus dorsi, on the back, and then go through the movement. You'll be protecting your spine all the way through that movement and limiting the amount of movement that vertebrae can do, and then effectively you're reducing the risk of pain that you could feel as well. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope it's given you some of the foundation that you need to be able to go into a gym or go into an exercise setting to be able to exercise safely, and also be able to transfer those skills out into everyday life. So then you can be a little bit more healthier, your joints can be a little bit healthier, and your back can be a little bit safer, and your spine can be a little bit more stabilized. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris from Christopher Hole Training. I'll speak to you in next week's tutorial.